Okay. Uh, in our projects, you need to work with other guys, and you need to work. You have a very small time. You don't have a lot of money. The money is your work, okay? And you need to produce or need to develop a product, okay? If you don't use one methodology, product management methodology, there is a good chance that you don't finalize well or don't acquire the goals that the project asked to do. Okay, so it's the reason that you need to follow some methodology, some approach to organize the projects. And why the project management is so important? In 1995, there is a study from a studies group that said that only 16% of the IT projects were successful, and over 31% were canceled before completion, generating a cost around the $81 billion in the United States. Why it happen? The first reason is in this time here, in 1995, the main methodology that the people use is the rational uniform process. The rational uniform process is a methodology that you work hard to generate documentation. Documentation in a software project or in any project is very important. It's very important to have a report to talk about the architectures, about the technical decision, business decision. It's very important to have documents like that. However, it cannot be more important than to have to develop the product. For example, think the situation. You have you need to create a car, okay? What is more important? At the end of the project, you have a car that acquires all the functionalities that you defined before, or you have a car that's a 10 or that acquired more or less, but you have a very nice documentation. It's more important to have a product at the end of the project. In that time, 995, most of the project that exists follow a methodology, RP, that generates a lot of documents. Another part of the project don't follow any methodology. And the consequence is, or you create products that is not attend what you want or you need, or generate project that has a lot of fails, or spend a lot of money, or spend a lot of time. Okay, it's the reason that is the IT projects suffer a lot in that time. But what is a project? A project has a very important concept. A project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to accomplish a unique product service. There is two words here very important: temporary, unique product or service. What it means? There is things that's not a project. For example, if you need to print things, for example, the coffee maker, for example, I don't know exactly in the campus. In the time that I live in the campus in the Mexico City, the Starbucks is in the trailer, in the car, no?
Yeah, it's a little battery
yes.
for now.
Exactly. And the coffee maker, the people that work in coffee maker, prepare coffee for you. You go there and say, oh, I want your coffee. You prepare the coffee and give you the coffee. The other guys, I want the coffee. Prepare the coffee and give the coffee. This activity is not a project. Why? Because it's not temporary. It happens all the time. And don't generate a unique product service. No, generate the coffee. Prepare a coffee for you. Another example, in a company, IT company, you have the guy that works in the fire, in the security. Every day, the guy defend this, create scripts to the files, analyze the logs. These things is important. It's very technical. It's very hard to do, but it's not a project because it's not a temporary. It's a work that the guy needs to do every day. A project is temporary. For example, you need to change the positions of the one room, for example, the classroom. Okay, now I have an idea that the students sit in the different position. I can create a project to change the position because it happens only in one time and in a specific period of time. And you adjust and generate a final product that is unique. When you define, for example, to create a software like we create in the Reto, you have a temporary time. It's a thing that happens only in a specific amount of time. And the second thing, you create a unique product. Oh, but my friend, you create the same thing. Yes, but your product is unique. The other friends is unique. You don't create a copy paste of the project. Okay? It's unique. So analyze what is a project. Unique purpose, temporary, required resource, okay? Should have a primary sponsor and involve uncertainty. In the project, you have uncertainty because, for example, in the beginning of the project, you don't know exactly how to solve the problem. You have some sites. For example, if I said, okay, I talk about the project today, now about the Reto project. I believe you have a lot of uncertainty how you solve the problem. Okay, it's the uncertainty that all the projects has uncertainty. Any questions, guys?
No, teacher, everything good. Yes, todo bien. Digo, yes, todo good. Digo, yes, everything good.
Okay. The project has some constraints. The first constraint is the scope. It's very common. It's very, very common that you start a project and improve the scope, doing more things that is inside the problem. Okay, it's very common. You want to do more, and you increase the scope of the project. The problem is, if you have time, if you have money to improve, to do more things, it's okay. If you don't have, you start to you start the fail of your project. I will talk on my experience. As we are in 2012 too, I believe 6-7 years ago, one company in Brazil contracted my company to develop a drone. Okay, to develop a drone to inspect electricity systems. And in the beginning, the guy said, okay, I have one project in Portugal, and the drone project in Portugal does not work. Do you want to get this project and develop this project for me? Yes, I can. However, my partner in this project said, oh, I want to do not only the drone, but I want to do assistance to do something. Okay, I want to do the drone and assistant with the same money. The company said, the company that contracts, okay, nice, very nice. The same, I will pay the same money. Yes, you pay the same money. Yes, perfect. What happened during this project? In the middle of the project, my partner leaves clear, and I identified that it's impossible. It's in complete craze to deliver the software and the drone. You don't have people enough. And if you don't have people, you don't have money. And what you need to do. I have two options. Don't deliver the product that I agreed to develop before, or use my money to pay the rest of money that is required to finalize the project. Is the solution that I did. I pay with more money, my money, to finalize the project. Why? Because in the beginning of the project, one guy increased the scope. Another constraint is the time. A lot of project is time constraint. For example, my company participate now in one big competition in the gas sector to develop a cargo drone. And one of the challenges is the time. Okay, you need to develop it in 1 year. And the question is, oh, but I can develop in 1 year and a half. Okay, you are not good because I need in 1 year. The time constraint is another problem. And finally, the cost. If you don't have money to develop the scope all the time, you cannot, the project is failed, okay? It's what this guy tried to do. This book here is DevMark, is a very nice book. It's a very thin, it's not, it's thin. The language that this guy used is very easy. It's like a history, like you read, for example, Sidney Sheldon. Romance. Okay, the language is very, very, very easy. And what this guy said, okay, you have the quality, the quality project. Okay, it's not about only the software; it's anything. Okay, and the quality means that the project is successful. Okay. Okay. You have money enough. If yes, okay. The scope is controlled. The scope is okay. It's okay. And you have time to develop. You have the time, the cost, and to develop the scope. Yes, I have. Okay. Your project has a good chance to be successful. But if you don't have money, if you don't have scope, your scope is very big, or you don't have time enough, your project is impossible. And this guy said the impossible project. Okay. The problem about this book is when I read the first time, I said, wow, all the projects that I worked before is an impossible project because I don't have money, or because I don't have time, or because the scope is complete crazy. Okay. It's very important that any administrator control these three things, because if you don't control the cost, your project will fail. If you don't control the time, it's the same. If you don't control the scope, it's the same. Okay. Any questions?
Yes, teacher, everything good.
What is a project manager? A project manager is a set of skills, okay, applications, tools, techniques, in order to meet a project requirement, okay? Again, remember 995. 995, the project, most of the project fail, okay? You have a lot of problems. And the people said, okay, we need to have a methodology. We need to repeat, okay? We need to have a process that I can repeat. And independent of the guy that developed the project has a good chance to be successful, okay? And the guy developed the PM book. The PM book is a book that contains a group of best practice and disciplines to manage a project. Okay. Okay. When you analyze only the software development process, The software development process has 4 phases. Okay, the first phase is the software specification. The software specification is the time that you sit with the stakeholder or the clients and talk with him, identify what is important, what this guy wants to develop, what's the product that this guy has in your mind. It is one of the worst and the most challenging part in the software development because it's very hard to identify, to really capture the requirements from the user. Because 2 things. The first thing is because in the beginning of the project, the user or the client don't have a very good idea about the results that you want. For example, if you sit with one client and the guy say, I want a car. Which car? I want a nice car, a very comfortable car that has air condition and that has nice wheel. Okay? If you write these requirements and start to develop like that, the final car can be a Camaro, a Mercedes, a Audi, I don't know, one type of China car. You have a lot of different cars that attend these speeds. When, for example, things that you develop a Camaro car, when the car see the car in the end, they say, "Oh, it's a sport car. I want a class car like a Lincoln." And say, but you define that the car needs to be comfortable, need to be nice wheels. You said that it has air conditioning. All the things that you said, you have in the car. No, but it's not what you want. Okay, it's a very picture example, but thinking software is more complex. It's a little complex than to define a car. In the software, in the beginning of the guy have an idea based on some experience that you have. For example, I want to have a drone system. Okay, the client use his experience to define in the beginning the drone that you want, and our work as a system analyst or the develop guy need to identify in his experience what is requirement and what is desire. Okay, we'll see in the next class that you have 2 types of requirements: the functional requirements, that is very important to identify, and the hardest one, that is the no function requirements, like quality, security, the things that is not implemented directly. It's not a functionality, but it's thing that is important and that is involved the system that you develop. The software specification is very, very hard because you need to capture exactly what the user wants, but you need to translate it in a document to all the guys read and your programmer understand the same thing that the user said. It's a very hard, it's a very complex activity. Back again. The problem is, in the beginning of the project, the user don't know exactly what he wants. He starts to have an idea when he starts to see what you're doing. For example, the first month, second month, you start to have some codes. The software has some face, no, some pictures, and he can start to use this software. And in this time, he start to have an idea. Oh, this button here, I want to be there, not here. Okay, here's one example. It's the reason that you don't need, it's not a good idea to spend so many time in the software specification. You move it, you in the beginning of the software development, you make a software specification, but you don't spend a lot of time. this activity you develop, you perform this activity software specification during the process. Okay. The second activity is the software design implementation, where you design the system and develop the system. Finally, you have the software validation, where you test the system, make a functionality test with your requirements, make a test with the user acceptance class, and the final test, integration test. Okay. And here you deliver the software. You have a new phase, that is the software evaluation. Is the software is never finished with the project. Okay, you buy a software. Think about the Windows. Every week you receive an update. Okay, is the phase of the software evaluation. Any questions? No questions?
No, teacher, everything good.
Okay, there are different ways to do the four phase. Okay, there are multiple ways. The first way to do is the waterfall model. In the waterfall model, you define the requirements. Okay, we spend a time and finalize the requirements. Again, it's not a good idea. Why? Because if you here, you spend a lot of time and you never back here. Okay. In this case, if you have a fail in the test because you identify that requirements need to change, you lost all this other phase. Okay. You spend time to systems of design, you spend time to implement. Okay. If you want test fail here, you need to back again for here to here. Okay. And you lost, you put all the time that you used to develop this thing in a trash. Okay. But in waterfall model, you have separate process and it happens one by one. Okay. First, you define the requirements. Second, you design the software. Finally, you implement and make the unit test and generate the integration system testing, and you go to operation. Here, the software is delivered. Okay. Again, the problem, this approach is if you identify the problem here, you need to back to the beginning. The problem, you represent this problem in the bare board. If you identify the problem in the requirements, the cost of the change is very low. But if you identify the problem in the production, the cost is very, very, very high. Okay. Another approach to do the same thing is the incremental approach. In the incremental approach, you perform, you split the project in the increments phase, and in each phase, you perform all the four phases of the 5 phases. Okay. Communication, planning, modeling, construction, deploying, and the testing. You perform increment 1, you develop the 4 phase. Increment 2, you develop the 4 phase. Increment 3, you develop the 4 phase. The problem is, in the beginning, you don't have a lot of idea about you don't have a lot of information about the requirements. A better approach is the spiral model. The spiral model is the model that remember the rational unified process that I told before, is the process that this methodology use. In this process, you start and work like a spiral. You revise, recycle, recline. Oh, sorry. You review, risk analysis, cost operation, risk analysis, and you increase the software in a spiral. Okay, until you have the final software. The problem of this approach is you spend a long time to have a fine result or one result that the user can use, okay? Because the user only has the final system here. And you need to wait 1 year, 2 years to wait for you develop the system and deliver from to him. The problem is a big problem. Think about the aeration and unified process. Think of a project that spent 2 years. During 1 year and a half, the client will only receive documents, papers, don't receive any code. You need to wait until pay for 2 years develop to see, oh, the project failed. There is one very nice example. FBI, I cannot remember which year it is, but I believe it's close to 995, close to it. FBI pay a big company, a really, really big company, software company, to develop a system to protect the borders, okay, in the United States. And this guy, the company that they contract, he used a regional unified process to develop the system. And the regional unified process uses a spiral model. During 2 years, okay, one guy in the FBI, the contractor, said, okay, past 2 years and I didn't see any software. And the company said, no, the problem is we identified a new requirements and I need more 1 year I need to revalidate the contract to 1 more year. I need 1 more year to finalize the project. And one guy in the FBI start to learning about some Japanese methods some Japanese lean methods to develop things in a industry plan, and read a material that the name is Scrum, and said to his boss, okay, give me a part of the money that the company asked you to do, finalize the software, give part of this money, and I will develop the same system in a year. And the boss of this guy said, okay, we'll try. And this guy tests the Scrum, okay? The Scrum. And what is Scrum? Scrum is an agile methodology. What is an agile methodology? An agile methodology is a methodology that the main idea is more software, less documentation. It's not exactly more software and less documentation, but it's I need to develop software. And I need to generate the comprehensive documentation. The focus is not only in tools and process, but in individuals' interactions. The software development is not about the tools. For example, to use the racial unified process, you need to buy a tool set from, I believe it's IBM. And if you don't have this tool set, you cannot use. You need to generate the graphs, the reports in the paper. It's very hard. Okay. What Agile said is, this tool is a big nothing. The focus is people's interactions. Is the developer. My goal is to develop working software. Okay, not a prototype, but working software. What is a working software? It's a software that the user can use, okay, that the client can use. This software has functionalities that solve problems from the client. Okay. You have cost on collaboration over contract negotiation. when you use in the press, when you these companies contract with another company, a software house to develop system, uh, the first thing that this guy does is a contract, okay, where you define how many time, how many money, the type of the development that the company can use, the confidential agreements in others, okay. In Agile, most of the time you need to have a contract, but the the contract is not a thing that not change the time. It's much better to have a customer collaboration. Is you see the Scrum in the Scrum, the client is part of the process. Okay, we respond to change over follow plan. In Agile, you don't spend a lot of time to generate a big plan. Your plan is very short. It's 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month. Okay. If you need to change the next month, it's okay. You work month by month. The 12 Agile principles. The first one, satisfy the customer. Okay. The focus is on a client, it's not on the plan. Welcome change. Very, very important. You deliver frequently. You deliver all the time, every 50 days, every month, a software, a working software, okay? A software that is already tested and implement that perform a requirement from the client. The next one is work together. Work together. In the Agile principle, you have the peer programming. What is the peer programming? You're programming with another guy. For example, I working, develop things for 1 hour, and the next in this hour, my friend see what I'm doing and talk about change that I need to do in my code. At the end of this process, you have a better code, a code that you already received some revision. Trust and support, face-to-face conversation. We don't talk about you don't use paper to exchange ideas. You talk to exchange ideas. Working software, again, working software is one software that implement a very useful feature to the client, and this test is already tested and documented. Okay. In the Agile principle, you don't send a code, you don't submit, you don't deliver a code that you didn't test. Okay, you test it. Sustainable development, continuous attention, simplicity, self-organized teams. In the traditional approach, you have the project manager, the PM. The PM, all the developers is subordinated to the PM. In the Agile, everybody is engaged. What it means, you don't need to have a boss, okay? But you have a boss to it. The boss is, if you don't have your work impact your friend. For example, if you don't do your work, your friends suffer because maybe in the future he needs the features that you develop. If you didn't deliver, this guy cannot finish your work. Okay, but it's self-organized. You don't need a boss. And the reflect adjust all the process, all the phase, month by month, or 15 days, 50 days, you generate a reflection to analyze the good things and the bad things, and how the things that you need to do to fix the bad things, the things that you need to continue to do to keep the performance, or the new things that you need to do to improve the performance. Okay. Any question, guys? No questions? Okay. Agile versus a waterfall. Agile is better than the waterfall because waterfall is plan driven. What it means? You follow the plan. In Agile is value driven. What means? You plan in the beginning of the process, you plan. However, you design and build, and you adjust your plan, see the things that is not work well, adjust the plan, and go to a new phase, and replan and develop a phase. And each phase, you deliver a code. You have a code of the things that you're doing, every phase. And this code has two properties. The code has value to the client, and the code is tested and documented. Okay? Each phase, you have the same thing. You have here, you have here, and you have here. In waterflow, you only has deployed in the last phase. Okay? If you define that you have a problem in the test phase, you need to back to the beginning and you wait a long time to have a code. In Agile, it's easiest to, for example, to the client, check the performance of the group because each month or each 15 days, you receive a code to check with some functionalities. Again, another comparisons about the waterflow in the Agile. Here you have the timeline, okay? Yeah, if you see, in the waterflow, you have a small uncertainty in beginning and money. In Agile, you have a big uncertainty, money, but you start to have a product, a deliverable. When the waterfall starts to go to the time now, increase the time, the uncertainty increase and the money increase. In the Agile, the uncertainty increase, reduce, and the money keep the same, and you have more products. At the final of the waterfall, you have the software, but the uncertainty is very, very big, and the money is very, very big. In other side, you have the same product, but keep less money and less uncertainty. Any question, guys?
No, teacher, everything good.
So, one process that you very important is the Scrum. The Scrum is one type of the Agile methodology. There are others. Okay, for example, Kanban is another Agile methodology. You have the Lean is another one. Okay, but Scrum is one. Again, this Scrum has the same principle than Agile, but it has another one. The first one, the Scrum, has self-organized teams. Again, you don't have boss. It's the methodology that we suggested to use inside the project that you work in the Dizereto. You don't have a boss. You work hard because you need to support your team. Okay. The second activity is second characteristic is product progress is seasonal month long. Scrum, the Agile don't define the timeline, okay? The Scrum, no. The Scrum, it's defined that you have one unit, a work unit, okay? That is, the name is sprint. What is a sprint? Is one amount of time that you need to develop a working software, okay? A sprint can be 1 week, 15 days, or 1 month, is no matter. The thing is that if you define in your project that the sprint will be 1 month, you'll never change. It will be 1 month for until the end of the project. If you define 1 week, you have the sprint will be 1 week until the end of the project. If it's 50 days, you 50 days until the end of the project. Okay. The requirements is captured as an item in a list of the product backlog. What it means? In the beginning of the project, you need to sit with your client and the stakeholders and talk with him, capture with him the requirements. In the Agile, you capture the requirements. What is changed in the other approach is you don't spend a long time because you perform these activities all the time. Every sprint, you revise the requirements. Okay, every sprint, you go to the backlog and check the requirements there and see, oh, it's good, it's bad, it's good, it's bad. Okay. Scrum, like Agile, don't specify any engineering practice. Okay, you can use anyone. You can use in the Scrum the TDD, the testing drive development engineering methodology. You can use BDD. You can use any approach that you want. Okay, Scrum is like a framework to organize a project. Okay, use generative rules to create an agile environment for the project. And again, the Agile, the Scrum does not define a strict code. You need first to do it, you do it. No, it defines some principles that organize the project. It makes that you can use your creativity to change. If, for example, if you work in my company in Agile, my company follow his way to do the project. But if you work in another company, for example, the company where my daughter works, it's completely different. Okay? Because the Agile team adjusts the project to based on his experience, their experience, based on the place where he works. There are a lot of things. It is one of the Agile process. This picture is very nice, and I finalized the class today in this picture. This picture represents the Scrum, okay? The Scrum process, the complete Scrum process. As I told you, in the beginning, you need to create the product backlog. What is the product backlog? It's a list of features, okay? For example, my system needs to add users in the database. My system needs to have a button where you create a new that the usage buy something. Okay, you have a lot of items here that you use to create features, functionalities. Okay. And it's like a database where you have the requirements here. When you start a sprint, remember, a sprint is amount of time that you get some requirements and transform it in a working product. Okay? In the beginning of the time, for example, you spend a time to define the product backlog at the beginning of the project. In the first interactions, you need to define a goal. What is a sprint goal? A sprint goal is a sentence that defines what is the value, the value that the value that your client want to receive at the end of the sprint, at the end of this amount of time. For example, I want to have my register process done in this month or during this sprint. Okay, the sprint goal define what you need to develop in this sprint. Using this sentence, you go back to the backlog and identify which items I need to develop to acquire this goal. And you get the item, things that the item is one, and create the tasks that you need to perform to acquire this item here. Okay. The sprint backlog is a list of tasks to acquire the sprint goal. And after you have the sprint backlog, you start the sprint process. The sprint process is an amount of time that you need to get the sprint backlog and transform it in a work software. Okay. The sprint time can be a 30 days, a 15 days, or a 1 week. In our project, the most common is the 15 days. In the retro, we use 1 week. During this process, okay, I cleared it. In the beginning of the process, to define the sprint goal, select the sprint backlog from the product backlog, you have one ceremony that the name is the planning meeting. The planning meeting is the meeting that you select in the product, define the sprint goal, select the product backlog, the requirements that you need to implement to finalize the sprint goal, and create the test, the required test to implement the sprint goal. Is the planning meeting. During the sprint, every day, you have a meeting. Okay, is the daily Scrum meeting. It's a very short meeting where all the groups need to go, and each element you'll say, okay, today I did this feature or this. It's my work today. I don't have problems, or I have this problem here. For example, I need the library that for example, Antonio developed. However, the library is not done, and I cannot finalize my test because I don't have this library. Okay, or another one. You say what you did, the problems that you have, and what you do in the next day. Okay, everybody will say the same thing. This meeting is not a meeting to discuss problems. Okay, for example, okay, I'm working. I developed the class A, but I didn't start the class B because Antonio didn't finalize I didn't receive from Antonio the library C. Okay, tomorrow I plan to work in the class B. It's not the time to Antonio explain why he didn't provide the class that I need. Okay, it's not the time. In this meeting, you only talk about what you did, what you do, and the problems that you have. You only sit. There are one guy in this meeting that is responsible for all the process. That the name is the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master is not the boss. Okay, the Scrum Master is the guy that is responsible for the process. This guy has the same task that the boss has. Identify the problems, fix the problems, remove any impediments that the team has. Okay, it's the same activity that the manager has, but he's not the boss. He don't have any. He's not has the. He not can say, okay, Antonio, do it. Diego, do it. No, it's the worst part. He needs to convince the Antonio that has a problem that needs to solve. Okay, it's a little hard. Okay, during the daily Scrum meeting, the Scrum Master cop any problems that you have. Okay, note any problems that will happen, and try to solve after the meeting. This meeting is very easy. It's very short. Okay, you do a daily meeting during the springtime. After the sprint, you have a, oh my gosh, a retrospective meeting. What is a retrospective meeting? It's the time where you show to your customer, or to your client, the product that you develop. And the client said, okay, it's good or not, it's not good. Okay. And finally, after this meeting, you have another meeting that is the reflection. I give me time, guys. I need to make a double check. Give me a second. Oh, sorry, okay, I told you wrong things. At the end, you have a review session, okay? A review session is the session that you review meeting. A review meeting is the meeting that you we stay with the client and the client evaluate your product. After this meeting, you have another one that is the retrospective meeting. The retrospective meeting is the time only the team go to this meeting and discuss what is wrong, what happened wrong, what happened good, what you need to do to fix the problems and to improve the performance. Okay. The review and the retrospective is like the planning and the daily meeting is the guy that is responsible to organize it is the Scrum Master. Okay. Any question, guys? Okay. In the next class, you go. I will present each ceremony, each phase. What is the Scrum Master? I will show in detail each element that Scrum has, and you have the opportunity to testing these. I will have a very short exercise that you use to solve a problem using the Scrum methodology. Okay. Any other questions? Everything's good. If you don't have any questions, if you don't have any question, thank you very much for your time. Remember, guys, today, 7 p.m., you have a meeting, okay? It's very important to go. It's very short meeting, 1 hour only, but it's important to receive the briefing about the retro, okay? Thank you very much, guys.